Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing this morning? Okay, guess we better get to work, huh? Good morning, everyone. And we had this one broker, and he was a savage. He uh, he would always answer the phone, and he'd say, "Torture chamber." And if you're listening, wherever, whatever rock you're hiding under, JJ says hi. Yeah, you don't worry about turning your monitors. You guys wanted action, right? Remember, all you guys were going, "Oh, the market's so boring. The price action's so slow." Hey, Patrick, how you doing? Josh, what's up? Welcome to the folks on YouTube. Hi, Dan. Hi, $6 million man. You know what? In the UK, the $6 million man is on TV all the time. It's crazy. So where's Oscar Goldman when we need him? We need Oscar Goldman. Come put this market back together. Well, let's see what we've got. Let's get into it. It's Friday and it's a really beautiful sunny day in Liverpool. I was just outside. I was like, "Oh, do I go back?" So our overnight inventory is very short. It's probably about 98, 99% short, right? That's the volume traded underneath the close of the previous day. So that being said, we've already had a fairly nice correction when we got that news off the 52.16s up to 53.20. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. You really didn't want to get caught short in that hole, boy. Let's see. So our overnight low, where's our overnight low? 52.10 half. I redid the balance zone. I did 53.02 to 20. No, it's a bit bigger, but hey, when you've got a 200 point range, what the hell? What's a couple of 8 points between friends, right? So, the price action right now really isn't bad. I mean, I've seen a lot worse. I mean, I only think the price action's bad when you look at the screen and then throw up in your trash can next to your desk. So, as far as price action goes, this isn't bad at all. Not bad at all. Right? And I was out walking around, but boy, the look below and fail looked like it worked here. It's working. Can you take the trade and do it actually and execute it? Yeah, that's always the thing, right? Look below and fail. Target is 53.20. Now we're going to have some selling at 53.30, right? And if we do, that's going to be the position. That's going to be the cost basis pre-market. Okay? So pre-market cost basis. What does that mean? That's how much you paid for your stuff, and we're going to go try and sell it as high as we can. But there are going to be sellers pelting us overhead with supply. They're all sitting there, right? And as we come up, they're going to hit us. Now, they're also going to be today. There's 53.20. Hello. Told you. It's the concept of rotation, ladies and gentlemen. It's the rotation of inventory. We rotate inventory because it's called a market. Don't let anyone ever tell you different. Now, we do have some material change, right? What is an iPhone going to cost? $5,000 now? Is that the deal? So earnings of these companies are going to be affected. Can you guys hear me? Wow. Just wondering. You can? Okay. Just checking, because everyone's so quiet. Is everybody long from 53.85? It's like usually when the room's really quiet, like everyone's just getting their butt kicked, right? Because usually you guys are like, yep, 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 yep. So I'm like, what's going on? It's like, my microphone, is this thing on? Anyway, nice move off the lows. Nice move off 5,200. You know, we're up 100 points off the low. It's not bad, right? It's not bad. Hey, Moran, how are you? Done for the day is good. And well done. It's always nice to start the weekend like that. I was going to be like all cautious and, be very careful trading, but I'm looking at this and it's actually not that bad. All we have to do is trade the levels and don't be a dumbass and we'll be all right. Point of control moved down. The point of control was up here at 53.92. It moved all the way down to 52.84 and change. So now I usually say when we open on these big down gaps, right? We're going to open on a significant gap, and it's the second gap in a row. Yes, I redid the levels. Hi, Jerry, how are you? And I hope I said welcome to the room earlier. And welcome to all the new folks who are in the room. Yeah, I redid the levels because we had this ridiculous drop, right? So I thought instead of going 32 times discount, let's redo the levels. Oh, and I forgot to say. Now, I didn't really tell a lot of people. Well, I did this morning. And I put it out on X. We're backfilling now, just in case you're wondering. Where is good old VWAP? Ah, that's why we slowed down. They're front-running VWAP. Okay. Now let's look for a rotation lower. Right? Remember, every time the market opens a session, right? Different times of the day, whether it's, when the European markets in London start to open, or whether it's the New York Open or the Globex Open, the primary thing, if you're an old trader, right? If you're an old trader, your job is to find the bid, right? Every day, you got to find the bid. That's what your job is. Why do you want to find the bid, right? Because that's where the buying is. So if you're short, you short down to the bid, then you cover, right? If you're looking for a long, when you find the bid, that's where you go long. Put your stop underneath the bid, because they're your backup, right? Right? They're the ones who are supporting you, right? And if they leave the room, you do too, right? What if you're just old? It's okay, Mike. We're both old. Actually, and you know what, Mike? Because we've worked in this business and we age in dog years, right? So, 1 year in the market working on a trade desk is like 7 years for normal people. So I'm about 210. Sometimes I feel like I'm 410. Look at that. Look, we got bids. Look, folks. You see the pre-market bid? Can anybody tell me just by looking at the candle wax chart where the pre-market bid is? I mean, just in the last couple of minutes. There it is. Yeah, exactly. 7. Yeah, right in there. A little lower, Corey. You're close, brother. You're close. Maybe my screen's a little... It's right there. So what does that mean? Well, the sellers compete, right? They start pushing price down. You can see the sellers competing, right? That's what they do, right? If you're a seller, you have to compete, right? If you don't compete, you're out of business. Remember those? You remember anybody who's older? You remember in the 80s we'd have Crazy Eddie's House of Electronics. We will beat anybody's price. How do we have such great prices? Volume, volume, volume. We will not be undersold, right? So when you see the market coming in, and that's why you guys have that trend line, right? Right, there you go. There's that trend line. That means the offer keeps moving lower. When the offer keeps moving lower, sellers are competing. Now the people who were bid here, who were buying, they're like, no way. I'm gonna drop my buy orders down to 2 3/4. Right? You want to take advantage of desperate sellers by dropping the price that you're willing to pay. That's the bid. So the price that people are willing to sell at, it starts coming down right quick because there's a lot of people selling. You got to remember that point of control. Remember, it came down, and look what had happened. It just moved back up. So, see, we took that volume and we distributed it here for profit. Now we're putting it on sale. That's what this whole market profile hoo-ha is all about. Okay? It's the tracking of inventory. We still have product for sale. Now, where did I put the sticker for the open? Leaping lizards. I know what you're saying about turning your monitors sideways. I refuse. I refuse to turn my monitor sideways. Where was the open yesterday? There it is. Why don't I see it now? Stay with me, folks. Sorry if my scrolling the chart is making people dizzy. Where they? Oh, there it is. So let's see if that overnight point of control moves from the 5,300 level, right? Can we move it down, back down here or here? Well, this thing's going to rock and roll and keep going lower and lower and lower until, it basically hits a rock. Then we'll get some sideways balance. Exactly. Just as Gene Simmons would say. Hey, look. Size has to get its cost basis back. This allows everyone to get some cheap goodies, right? And then when this thing rebounds, sell into it. And funded trader programs, I believe, are a great idea. Especially like if you're like a yippee-ki-yay cowboy trader who doesn't like do risk management, then it's great because then you can just like reset your account. You guys can pretend that you're on PlayStation 357. And it also, that just keeps you from losing all your money on days like this. So let's see. We had that liquidation now. Let's see. Do the sellers? Do they still initiate there? Right. Shorted 95. I'll cover 93. Just scalping them. Scalping them. Scalping them. And when I see a seller, I'll sell. I'll sell next to them. I mean, we had a 100-point move. It's going to retrace. The thing with me is I don't want to short the front end of this move. No thanks. No, you're not. But remember, Jem, we have a lot of people who, of the bungee jumping variety. So I'm saying, listen, if you're going to trade like the bungee jumping variety, people who just like, hold my beer, right? The hold my beer trader should take advantage of funded trader accounts. Because then you can truly act like a dumbass and it's only going to cost you $30. I mean, you're not going to learn how to trade, right? But hey, a good time was had by all, right? You can't get the thrill, buy the ticket, take the ride, as Dr. Hunter S. Thompson would say. Seller at 53.02 3/4. Yes, he is sorely missed. Looking for 53.04. And what do we do when we get up there, if we can get up there? Are they going to stuff the bids here? Ooh, a little tickle, little slap and tickle there. It's not an aggressive seller. Let me make these candles bigger. It's not an aggressive seller, but there is a seller. I mean, I'd be selling for if I had inventory priced 80 points lower. Hell, I'd be selling every tick. Yeah, no gonzo trading. Oh, so now if the offer lifts over that red line, we've cleaned out the sellers at 4.5. And the sellers are trying to tell you, right? The sellers are trying to tell you, hey, we've seen buyers, we're raising price. But if it only lasts for 10 seconds and then they start competing again, see? Right? You know, the reason why I said that about funded programs is you tell people to be disciplined, you tell people it's a business, blah, 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 but it goes in one ear and out the other. So for the people who like to screw around, hey, it's better than, I mean, if you want to trade, then don't lose your money, right? Yeah, you know, the wee, you know, or use the sim, you know, because in the sim, if your character gets blown up, you just hit reset. But that's not at all what we do here at Microefutures. Well, it is a business cast. One thing that you guys are learning, yeah, she's offered at 2.5, right? That it's a business, and once Wall Street gets money, it usually doesn't come back out. So those sellers are moving lower. They're competing. They're competing why? To capture the buying, right? You got to capture the buying. Otherwise, you're stuck with a bunch of stale donuts nobody wants to eat. Get in there and sell them. But when you see big buyers, you move the offer up. Now, I'm curious to see. It's starting to get a little frisky here. 8 minutes before the open. So, I know it's not the best day to do it. You're not saying 1800 LC? No, that's VOOC. Uh, I'm going to do at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm going to do a market 101. Now, I don't know if this is the best day to do it. You guys can tell me. I've already kind of said I would, so people will show up, but I don't want to disappoint them. Getting some. Ooh, there's an aggressive seller at 98. You saw it. Now let's see. Watch. Hey, Patachi, how are you? Hey, did the price of eggs go down in North America now? Just curious. No? I'm just curious. Well, it's not like they're cheap here in the UK, but yeah, that's true, GeoCap. Okay. So you want trades off the open? Hey, Joe. How's life? How's life in the land of milk and honey? We're lucky to have Joe in the room. Phones haven't stopped ringing. Well, I mean, you guys are usually sitting around in your $10,000 suits, sipping very expensive scotch. That's what I always, I always think of investment bankers and money managers. You know, they're they have this like beautiful, town and country lifestyle. The traders are all sweating down in the pits, eating stale sandwiches. Well, hey, John, welcome. But I'm just joking, Joe. I use the balance zone every day. I do not know Jim Donovan. Not sure who that is. Yeah, I guess clients don't like hearing we'll have to wait and see. That's a tough answer. Okay, we're trying to find the bid pre-market. No. Listen, the only way I got into Goldman Sachs is when they bought Spear Leads and Kellogg, and I got to hang out on the trading floor. Otherwise, for me to get into a place like Goldman Sachs, I'd have to be the pizza delivery guy. Okay? There's no way Goldman's letting me in the front door unless I got pizza. Inventory is very short, Christian. Hey, ZS, what's going on? No, I'll have to check it out. I don't really watch a lot of finance stuff anymore. Exactly, Joe. Every once in a while, I'll reread or I'll read chapters out of Inside Life on Wall Street or reminiscences, but I just do that for like I love Wall Street history and I love the nostalgia part of it. I mean, I'm not that old, but Let's see. Where are we going to open? Where are we going to open? Don't try and predict the open. Yeah, good empty order book. Everybody, you look at the DOM and it says gone fishing. Oh. Hey, listen, you got to laugh in this business. If you don't, you'll drive yourself crazy. Yeah, it's like 20, 30 a side on the order book. There's no size anywhere. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, just relax. Just relax and let the billionaires figure out the open. Once it kind of calms down and you get a good sense of direction, take your trade. If you are not a fast trader, don't worry. Uh, it's a seller at 2 3/4, that's for sure. Now remember, there's going to be a lot of unpredictable order flow. There's going to be a lot of unpredictable order flow. Just relax. Take it easy. It's Friday. Right? We know that we have sellers at 16 and change up here. Let's see where do they come out of the bushes. We know they're there. They're waiting. Look, seller. Right? It's a beautiful way to look at a market through these 1 minute candles. So where else do we have inventory? Right? Once we get over 20, it might rip through 20 to 54. I haven't drawn a volume profile. Apologies. Let's see. Now you got to get through VWAP. VWAP is the goalkeeper, right? Right? There's the position. Right? You could see the position. They're front running VWAP right now because hell, I would. If I was long 52.85, I'd be selling 5300. You'd be like, "Hey JJ, can I show you a bit?" And I'd be like, "Sold. Sold. Hi, how you sold? Good morning, sold." Right? Uh, Now we're moving down under 5302. So now you know where the position is. We'll work it back and forth. They'll front run VWAP, of course, the sellers. Now we're going to go find the bid on the open. Watch that A low, see if it holds. Right? Do not be surprised if this market starts going lower and testing some of these lower levels, okay? That's perfectly natural. Seem to be some bids at that 90 area. Let's see. If you're short, look for some response down here in the 76s. Let's see if there's a bid there. Little bid, right? Sell into it if you're long, right? And now we're going to look for the sellers, right? They were there, and then they were there. See if we can get up to 96. If we can't get up to... Ooh, they heard me. I was going to say the open. See? A little bit of short covering came in. Kaboom, they pull the offers. Right? If you lose concentration for a brief second in this market, you're going to get hurt. And it's not even that bad. Right? So don't mess around. Don't play on your cell phone when you're trading. Don't try and trade this when you're at work. Right? Give it your full, undivided attention. If we get under 76, we're looking for 68 and a quarter, and then you'll be looking for the 60s, just down here. Excuse me, 56 and change, or 55 and change. Is Powell speaking today? Okay, taking out that 76 bid. Watch it come lower. You're looking for 68 and a quarter. Close. We're close. 69. 69. Oh, come on. There's 68 and a quarter. Just tagged it. Beautiful there. Beautiful. Now the offer is going to lift. And we're going to see where the seller comes in and shanks it. Levels are working nice. Now, if we get under 66, you're looking for around 55. But you want to wait until we get under this standard deviation, or as I like to call them, standard deviants. See how it hit the standard deviation and lifted the offer? Right? Because there's going to be buyers at that standard deviation. Because the 0 and 1 mafia like Mike programmed the algos to execute there. Can we stay under 68 is what you want to ask yourself. If you're a short seller and we start losing that 68 quarter offer, you're in trouble. Watch the offer. Now you're offered over a quarter. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Right? Your next seller is going to be up here. at 73. See how you can get in trouble very quickly, right? You can get into a lot of trouble shorting in the hole in a market where the inventory, you notice the inventory still shuts off quickly in this market. Even on a 200-point down day, it's not like the old days where it would just be in free fall. There are a lot of bids coming in, right? And all it takes is a thin order book and a big order come in and you get a massive green candle. So be careful shorting in the hole. You can get into a lot of trouble. Seller came in right there where there used to be support. Taking out that W low. Let's see if that brings in sellers or buyers. Now, if you're short, you're looking for 56. As long as we can stay under 62. 62, 60, what is this? 62 and a half. Dropping into 56, you should be covering. Right? If you were short 66, 65, what's wrong with a 56, 57 cover? I'd hit buy ask so hard it'd make your head spin. Taking that V low, boom, a little bit of responsive buying. Where's the next stop? Oh, the overnight low. Well, let's go test that. Why don't we? Since we're down here, right? Yep. And for some people, it's not a good time to do business. That's a smart business decision. I have no problem with that at all. I applaud that business decision. Besides, it's Friday. You know, every trader's goal is to be doing something fun on Friday, something relaxing. You know, at the beach without your laptop. Hey, Zaz, what's up? There's 56. All right, where's the next stop on the D train? Somewhere in this goop here, 35 to 45. Let's go find the bid. Was it the doctor? Well, hope everything's okay, Zazu. I use Sierra Chart. But I've heard other, there's other good platforms. Ninja Trader, uh, Trading View. You know, yeah, I have Sierra because I've used it since 2012. I'm anxious. I'm really curious to give Ninja Trader a go. Yeah, Feeding Frenzy on Friday, just like Solomon Brothers in the 80s. Oh, that's too bad. All right, we found some bids down there under 50. Now let's look and see where the seller is. If we get over 68, it's going to be at 75.80 again. Oh, oh. So I'm just showing you guys the volume profile. All it's doing is it's telling us where the inventory is. And all of the inventory right now, short term, is above 52.68. That's why we're seeing selling there. Now, if we get enough buying, we'll be able to come back up. But somewhere in here, like at 85 and 90, they're going to be sellers because there's product here. See, look. As soon as we came up to here, to 68 and a quarter, the sellers stepped in. If ES is acting like NQ, what is NQ acting like? That's the question. That's good. You hang it up, AZS. You know. Have a good weekend. Yeah, just normal cost of business. Have a good weekend, AZS. Go do something fun for the rest of us who are in front of the screens. I was going to move the screen down, but all I had to do was wait and it moved right back up. Price. Can get rid of this volume profile now. You guys know where the position is, right? There, that's nice and clean. VWAP is here. We know where the sellers are. Now let's see. Can we get a rotation? Right? How long have we been in? We've been in 17 minutes. Okay. Maybe a nice rotation that we can trade. Wouldn't that be nice? I just find a nice back and forth. It's like that movie. What was that movie with the guy from King of Queens and Will Smith, where Will Smith is teaching him how to dance? You know, that's the kind of trading you want. Nice back and forth. Rotation to the overnight low. Like while LC's been away, he looks like he had an internship at Fierro Brothers. That's what it Louis was, right? He speaks at 11:25. How convenient. So that was support before. There was a little bit of resistance a couple of times here. Now we're creeping above it. Good to know. Good to know. All right. If you are long, I'd say your targets are just at that round 5,300 level. Okay? If it was me, I'd front run it. Right? I always like selling before. Yeah, the fills are weird. It is choppy. Right? I just picked up one contract at 80. And it almost took my stop, and then it just ripped. Huh. Yeah, if we take out 88, 92 is the first corner target. Oh, hey, Fahad, because I like to front run. So if it's 53.02, I like to sell before the level. Just so I can get rid of my inventory. I don't want to be the last guy at the dance without somebody to dance with, right? If I see buyers, if I'm long 50, 52.80, 52.84, and you show me a 96 bid, boom, I'm hitting it. Never saw a bid I didn't like. Right? You show me a bid, I'll hit it. I don't want to be holding contracts and have the trade come back on me. Ever, ever, ever. I have been taught to sell into strength. That's what people in the business do. They don't care about the next trade. I mean, they don't care about maximizing that trade. Now, some traders do, and that's great. But in markets like this, where they're rotational, I'm going to sell into strength. Because I'm going to sell before you sell. Because you're going to take my customer. So I would literally punch you in the throat to hit your bid. Right? Do you use the VWAP pit session? Well, we don't really have pits anymore. Do you mean like the 9:30 opening? I use the 6 p.m. overnight session open for the entire 23-hour session. So I use 6 p.m. New York time. Right? So ça c'est minuit pour vous, right? Midnight for you. See that's what they're doing right here. Right? There was a seller there. Now they're competing. The top of the candles are where the sellers compete. The sellers create the top of the candles. Right? The bottom of the candle is created when the seller stops selling. Right? So right here, for example, that's where the seller stops selling. Non, je suis Canadien. Je suis bilingue. I'm from Canada, so of course I speak French. Just like every good Canadian. And I love Montreal. All right, now it's kind of slowing down a little bit. So we had that initial burst of customers coming through the door of Walmart. A lot of pushing and shoving. Now let's see. Has this turned into resistance? I want a nice rotation. But I'm not crazy. I do think that it would be normal to go test the overnight low. Average 1 minute range is 14 points. Yeah. That's why if you're wrong, admit it quickly. Right? Do not be stubborn and wrong on a day like this, especially on a Friday, because you're going to have a miserable weekend. Anybody want to go see what the cool kids are doing on the NASDAQ? Let's go see. Crab Apple. Caught a bid? It's not so bad. What's the volume in Apple? 21 million shares? That's it? We'll be fine. It's just a flesh wound. Yeah, it's just a flesh wound. Why do I say crab apple? I'm a trader. I have a bad habit. It's called immaturity. I have to give everybody a nickname. Should hear what we call Tesla. It's a family-friendly channel, so I can't say it. One thing I've got to say is you really have to marvel at the strength of the U.S. clearing system, the execution systems. I mean, even for retail, you know, you could still trade today. You might get chopped up a bit, and it's a little choppy, and your fills might not be picture perfect. Shorting under 68 if you are, watch that offer, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a rotation. And I'm going to see if maybe we get a rotation here. You really have to marvel at the efficiency of these U.S. markets and how robust the system is. It's quite beautiful. What I'm doing, folks, is I'm looking for a rotation. So I'm looking for the market to show me where the buyers initiate and where they stop selling. And that's, if I was just starting out the day, I would go, oh, okay, that's my rotation there. Let's see if it works. And don't be afraid to test stuff, okay? Before you trade on it. You should test it, right? So we should do a look below and fail of 65 half and then rotate up here. That's a rotation. Hopefully I'll be asleep, Kevin, by the time this thing closes. All right? Now, do they step in at 83 and 3/4, 84? Right? Hell, if I was long 67, 68, 69, 70, I'd be letting them have it here with both barrels. Nice work, Singh. You enjoy your weekend. Keep your money. Now, do we look above and fail? Or is that it for these low prices? Right? Do we do one of these? Or do we take this cheap crap and go sell it up here? Let's see. So because when we trade sideways like this, now Zazu, your reaction was good. Right? When we go back and forth like this, what happens is a lot of traders will be shorting this. And when it does this and they realize that they're trapped, they come into cover at the same time and you create that big green candle. You see? Now they don't get trapped on purpose, they just get trapped because they're looking for that back and forth. They're looking for 51 again. That's why when you draw that box and it gets back up over 65 and a half, 66, 68, you're like, whoa, 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 maybe I'll cover. Right? So you can tap out early. Right? So now, if you are just joining us, this is how you do your balance levels. You take this box and you double it. And this is the kind of stuff I'll be showing you on the 101. And I'll explain the reasons why we do this. There has to be a business reason for everything we do. There's no such thing as random when billions of dollars are on the table. Right? So that's how I get the levels. That's all I do. I just find that back and forth two-sided trade, double it, right? Because this is your cost basis, right? This is how much in the short term, this is how much we paid for our inventory, right? And then we try and sell it at 2 times profit. Well, we didn't quite get it this time because we didn't have the buyers, so whoop, back on sale. I hope the shorts are right. You know, the funny thing is, the sad thing is, guys like Jim Chanos have retired. This would have been his day in the sun. You know? I'm going to do a 101 at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm going to do it on YouTube. So I invite you folks to join us. I know it's a lot to do on a Friday and people are kind of tired by Friday. But I thought, why not before the weekend? So we're going to cover things like cost basis, inventory. 11 o'clock Eastern Time, so GMT. So you're in the UK, mother truck, so that's 4 o'clock UK time. 5 o'clock. I did not take Jim Dalton's course. This is how it happened. I found Jim Dalton right after I had had a heart attack and a quintuple bypass. So I didn't have the dough to take his course then, right? And and then when I had the dough, I didn't have the time. But we've had Jim on Market Maker Confessions, our podcast, and he's been in our trading room, and we love Jim. Jim is the godfather of profile, right? And he was the only guy I could listen to because he's actually been on the floor. So he reminded me a lot of the guys who trained me. You know, like if you did something wrong, they'd give you a cuff on the head. You know, they'd slap you on the head and go, "What are you doing?" Right? I miss that mentality. 52.68 and a quarter is working nicely. Let's see if it can hold 65. It can. Now you're getting that rotation up. So folks, this is what I'm talking about, right? It's a little slow. I mean, for the dealers. So what they're doing is they're just rotating the inventory through these levels, especially this one, the blue one. So we have a nice 52.65 to 52.83 rotation, right? Which you can trade, right? I mean, so you don't have to pick the top, you don't have to pick the bottom. You wait till the market goes and does this sideways, and people are like, oh, that's choppy, I don't like that. Well, it's great because all you do is do the look below and fail, right? And your risk is really, really looked after that way because the market looks below and fails. So you go long, say 68, 67, put your stop under 65 half, sell a little at 76, sell the rest at 80. Thanks for coming out. Simple, right? I like trading rotations because you have a place to put your stop, right? And when you have that place to put your stop, your risk is manageable. Because if the business breaks this way or that way, right? So if you're long and it breaks these levels, there's no business reason to be in the trade. If you're short and it breaks this level, there's no business reason to be in the trade, right? So you got to have a valid business reason to be in a trade. I got to remove that button. This Epic Pen. You hit one button and the screen goes blank. I don't know what that's all about. Sorry, folks. So now let's see if we hold that 65 half. That's the power button. Yeah, no kidding. It's going to be a long day. I don't know. What does it say on this thing? I'm using this Epic Pen because I paid the money for Snagit and it crashes my Windows 11. So if any of you out there work for Snagit, let them know. It's not stable. It's called whiteboard or blackboard. Oh, I guess it's like having a blackboard that you can draw on. Yes. So, Travis, during Globex was before that employment number, right? So, which is what gave us a bit of a bid in the market. So before that happens, the market's in what we call price exploration. And a lot of trading desks, well, they're there, but they're really not doing business, right? The market's not open. So there's not going to be a lot of buying. So that's why you get those big moves down, right? The market moves are bigger during Globex because there's not as many orders. So the market makers have to spread their net capital over a wider range. And then it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Exactly. They're quoting them wide, right? How you doing? How you doing? I'm spreading them wide. I'm spreading them wide, right? What do you want to do? It's like trading those unlisted markets, right? Right? How do you stand? 5.7. I got 1,000 shares for sale. Oh, I'll buy 100 at 5. Where do you stand? 475, 8. uh, Zoom pen, thanks for the. I'll give that a go. I'm not using Zoom now, so is Zoom pen a standalone, or do you have to use it with Zoom? Because I'm using this OB1 OBS to broadcast. Oh, I should get these charts to move by themselves. So now, if we can't get back over the 68s, you're looking for lower. You're going to look for lower. So watch this area here. Right, so if you're short, jeez. If you're shorting the 60s against maybe 64, as you're out and the market's coming down. Now there were bids here at 51 before. So pay yourself a little bit. If you're short 3 or 4 contracts at 60, take some back. Pay yourself just in case that big bid comes in. I'm using Sierra chart. Yeah, the standard deviations are pretty wide. There it is, right there, 51.99 change. It's about as automated as I'll get, Mike. My version of automation is throwing the phone at people's heads to get them to execute. Uh, well, I have been known to kick people's chairs on the trading desk. Well, you got to do something when they freeze. I used to use the tick data, but once again, I couldn't use it to actually make money. Right? All those market internals and everything, they're beautiful. But I had to, over time, I took more and more off the screen. What's the market breadth this morning? Does anybody know? I don't even have it up. Yeah, exactly. Kind of interesting, right? Where's Lear? Minus 29? That's respectable. Right? I remember once in COVID we had minus 700. I took a screenshot of that. So folks, now we're going looking for the bid. Let it price discover. Do not stand in the way of this. If you're short, you can stay short. Right? As long as each candle is one time framing down, which means that each candle's high is lower, right? You have price competition with the sellers. Thanks, Telek. Right? You can be short. Now, where's that overnight low? It's 52.10 and change. So it's got a ways to go. $52.27 and change. Let's see if there's any response there. It's kind of a new level. Oh, it's ugly times ugly out there. Oh, that was the coin of bitterness. Caught a bid. 82,700. Oh, it's a fast market. A little few bids at 33 and 3/4. So these levels on the 1 minute candle, and I'll explain that also when we're on the the 101, is just discount levels, right? So we're in the 4 times discount zone. I was kind of waiting for like that 75,000 to buy some Bitcoin, but didn't quite get there. Right, so this is a little short covering, right? Shorts are coming in. You can see the size right there between 36 and 39. And the sellers see buyers. Ooh, good. Let's lift prices and see if they follow. Do we? 51.68 from back in May. Oh, okay. Damn, LCI. I don't even remember. I can't even remember what we were doing in May last year. I'm getting old. My memory's going. The data remembers. Thank God for that. All right. Under 52.33. Really, we're targeting 16 and a half. There's that 27 1/4 level. I'm not depending on it, but I'm just curious to see what happens. Don't try and buy this bottom because it doesn't know where the bottom is. Went through 27 1/4 like a hot knife through butter. Remember, levels are great in normal markets, right? Right. A little bit of a look below and fail of that 27, but nothing to get too excited about. You know, levels are for when markets are normal. You know, right now levels are abnormal. No, actually, yeah, they don't care about our levels at all. Here's the thing, all right? Here's the thing, and I'll explain to you about levels, right? And actually, I should talk about that on the 101. Thanks, Cass, for reminding me, right? Now, for example, if this was if there's a stock, we found some bids at 33, folks. So watch out. You know your sellers are going to be here, right? Your sellers are going to be here up at 46. So they'll probably front run that. So say Mike is a client of mine and he's bought some stock on margin, right? He's bought a couple of million shares of some crappy stock. It's trading around $6. And Mike hasn't wired the money in to shore up that position. So if that stock starts dropping, LC will come over and he's the compliance officer and he'll be like, eh. He'll have this constipated look on his face. And I'm like, oh, God. He'll like, JJ, your client's offside. He has until this time to send in a wire. Now, if he doesn't get the money into the account, LC's going to come on and go, okay, we got to sell him out. So if the stock is $6 and I have to sell 1 million shares to get them on side, if I see a bid at 350 for 500,000 shares, I'm going to hit it. And I am going to go through every single one of you to get to it. So that's when levels mean nothing. I mean, if you're going to learn lessons. Today is a day for learning lessons, Guapo. Right? If you're trading today, right? If you're trading today, even senior traders, right? Even senior traders are a little leery about this. Go read Bloomberg. Go read the Wall Street Journal. They'll tell you what the head of trading at Goldman was saying, right? They'll tell you, I mean, these people are trading billions of dollars. And if they're being careful, maybe you should too, right? Head of equity trading Goldman. What does he know? Give me that $2,500 account, right? I'll show him. That's why we were telling people to use funded trader accounts, right? Yeah, if you're going to screw around, right? Use a funded trader account. There's no reason to lose $500-600 of your own money. That's just nuts. That 45 seller is still there. So I'll see if we can move that point of control down into the 5230s. Let's see. Now the 1 minute candles, the lows are getting higher for the last 5 minutes. That's something to be cautious about if you're a short seller. That would be strange, wouldn't it? No singles on a 90-point range. Scared money don't make money. It's the battle cry of the retail trader, isn't it, James? uh, I'm all for it. Go stimulate the economy. It's mostly because of the business that the market is so low. Right. The business changes. Algos make it more efficient, but they also make the markets thinner because they react so much faster than humans. So a large sell order enters the books, the bids just disappear. Yeah, no kidding, LC. So big ranges. Well, we've had big ranges for a while now, so this is this sell-off is really nothing unexpected, really. Right? This is a market that's been held together with duct tape and glue. And the only reason it's been going up is because nobody sold anything. Hey, you start breathing on those bids, they fall apart like a cheap suit. Remember, you guys, I used to say we should get a trading range, and you guys would always laugh at me. Yeah, look at JJ, he's so old, looking for a trading range. Now, if we had had some trading ranges, we would have dropped from 57.80 down to 52.30 in 3 days. You'd have some shock absorbers. We don't have any. Oh well. I think you're going to get your single print, Elsie. And I think we will end up testing that overnight low. Now, if we lose the overnight low, what are you going to do? Right? If you lose that overnight low, I'll give you some levels. What's this one here? 51.87 half. And then 51.48 is the bottom of this zone that we're in. And you'll like that, Elsie. We went through an entire 4 times balance zone in 2 trading sessions. Something else. And the next big zone for us, that low is down there at 51.01. Yeah, you might as well, since we're down here, might as well fill them. Right? So beware, folks. If we take out that overnight low, do not stand in the way of it. Don't try and buy the dip. Just let it fall. And if you don't get a trade today, wait till Monday, wait till Sunday night. You'll have lots of opportunity. This liquidation is creating massive opportunity for us. All you have to do is be smart. Hey RJ, how you doing? Do the market makers get tired of being the only buyers? Sometimes they do. Right? Sometimes market makers will go home down huge amounts of money. But they're not traders, right? They're liquidity providers. It's a completely different business. Exactly. They have to provide liquidity as best they can during market conditions. They just can't stop answering their phone or taking orders. So I mean they could fill you 50 points lower, but there are rules. Mike's worked on market making desks on the street. That's when they tell him not to talk. uh, well, folks, appreciate all of you being with me this morning. Thanks for being with us. And once again, come visit us at Microefutures. Right? Check out the 7-day trial. Hey, 101, we'll do it at 11 Eastern Time. I'll put it on YouTube too so people can join. Hopefully by then we'll found the bid. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Grant. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Corey, I'm still waiting to hear from you, brother. Give me a shout. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.